Today we're in Midtown Tulsa, bringing you a gardening success story that spans almost 30 years. And we're in the backyard of John and Louise Reid, and John's agreed to visit with us today. Hi John, how are you doing?
Oh, hi Sue.
Good to see you.
We lucked out on the weather, didn't we?
Oh, it's wonderful. John's been a master gardener with the Tulsa County Extension Office for almost 10 years now, and we've really enjoyed his presence. And he wants to show us around his yard and give you all some tips on things that you might want to be doing in your landscape this fall. But first, John, let's talk about your yard and kind of the background of it. Now, what year did you move in here?
We moved into this old home in 1967.
Okay.
The old house was built in 1928, and we're only the third owners.
Well, that's nice.
And it was really grody when we moved in. It was completely overgrown with everything imaginable.
So you were really starting from scratch with this landscape.
So everything you see here as we go around the yard, we have planted ourselves.
All right. How did you come upon an overall plan? A lot of y'all might be moving into an older home like this that you want to renovate the landscape or a new house. How did you start out and decide what effect you want in the backyard?
Well, I like greenery in its natural state. And of course in some areas you have to prune things, but as much as you can, if you can just let it grow in its natural state and make the umbrella effect in the greenery, we like that. And of course, as you can see now, the yard is so much shade that we have to go to the shade plants.
Sure, well, it's lovely. And so you start out from sunny conditions and have grown your shade over the span of almost 30 years.
That is correct.
What impresses me is that you've done it with such good planning.
Well,
and
thank you.
It really does look nice. And he's done all of this on his own. And this was before we even had a Master Gardener program. So did you just look at other people's yards to get ideas?
Well, kind of, I guess maybe I inherited it from my mother because she just loved horticulture. Great. And she taught me the old trick of laying the garden hose down and laying out and deciding on your walks and where you want to put them and that sort of thing. And it just I just grew up around flowers.
Great.
So I love it.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. And what's interesting to me is that this was a very sloped backyard, and you have put in a terrace that has a nice angle to it. A lot of people, if they have a yard that's extremely sloped, will just cut a brick terrace straight across the back. And you have some nice curves to that, some nice angles, and it really softens the lines.
Yeah, we wanted to break it, and we wanted to have, we call it the front yard, the middle yard, and the lower yard.
Okay. Yeah, just a series of outdoor rooms like we've talked about before. Well, what are you looking at right now?
Well, here I was checking my my dogwoods to see if we were going to get any blooms next year. And dogwoods kind of go every other year, really. And now this, as you can see, is a new leaf bud coming out. But down here we have the little rosettes. They look like a diamond sets in a ring. Yeah. And you can readily discern those and tell that that's going to be next year's bud and next year's blooms.
So you know you'll have some blooms.
So we're going to, this tree is just covered with those. So it's going to be beautiful in the spring.
Well, it's great to know.
This is a white dogwood.
Yeah, and then you've got some fruit pods on there as well. So.
Right. These are, a lot of people think these are buds, but these will turn bright red this fall, and those are actually the seeds from this spring's bloom.
Well, there'll be another nice show this fall then when
when those turn red, the birds just love them.
Oh, yeah.
They're great.
Well, John's yard has a lot of dogwoods and azaleas, and you'd think that we'd be here in the spring to see the show, but as gardeners, we know that you want to know how to take care of these, and so that's why we're here right now. And John, how have you been caring for these azaleas this summer?
Well, I only feed them once a year, and I feel that if an azalea is planted properly, and we won't go into that right now, but it really only needs one feeding. Some books say every month during but I just feed them once a year in the spring after the blooms have died back. Okay. And if you need to trim, like over here where they go over the walkway, well, you can trim them back after they bloom in the spring. But this is kind of a odd situation here. You notice how nice and dark and green and lush these are because I've fed these with mirror acid, an acid fertilizer.
So foliar feeding and soil drainage?
I foliar feed them with the spray, and then also I mix up mirror acid in 5-gallon buckets, and I just literally get in here and drench all of this area so it gets down into the root system also.
And you made sure you did that before mid-July.
Right.
And why do we not want to do this right now?
Well, right now, if you'll notice, if you put your finger right down in the middle of these little leaf rosettes here, you'll feel a little prick.
Right.
And that's next year's bud and bloom. This year's bud and next year's bloom. So if you feed them, the azaleas are going dormant, usually around last of July, middle of August, and it depends, you know, on the soil temperatures and that sort of thing. But if you feed an azalea now, it says, hey, I got to start growing, and these buds will literally just pop off.
Okay, so then you'd ruin your
For the
bloom.
same reason you don't want to trim right now, because you'll trim off next year's blooms.
Right. What's going on back here?
That has been here for years. Now these azaleas were little 4-inch pots that I bought about 7 years ago.
Okay.
And they were put in here before the edging and anything. But this particular limb on this azalea, this branch, will not accept food. The rest of it is real pretty and green. But no matter how much food I feed it or how much iron I feed it, it just stays that way. But it doesn't keep it from blooming. If you'll notice here that the buds are still set on that, and it blooms every year, but it looks grody. So people, if you have some, that's what we call, normally that's an iron deficiency. Which, because you see the yellow and then the dark green veins, that normally indicates a lack of iron.
Sure.
But it's nothing to get too excited about. It's not going to kill your plant.
Okay, and that's the thing we want people to remember with their azaleas, is that they're never absolutely perfect, and you may have oddities like that.
That's right.
So let's go look at your lawn over here. I know in the Master Gardener office, you're recommending people to sow fescue right now or later, in about a month or so from now?
Sometime after the 1st September, probably. Soil temperatures need to get back down around 60 degrees, really. But it's because it's a cool season grass.
Right, and what happens if you sow it in the spring? You found out yourself, didn't you?
We always tell people, you know, your chances of survival of fescue sown in the spring are pretty lousy. But I had some bare spots, so I hadn't done it before, but I did it this spring. And lo and behold, 3 weeks ago, this was just real good, lush green, and now the hot weather hit, and as you can see on the lower level down there, it just died.
Sure.
And I have a sprinkler system.
Okay, so there's a case in point that with a cool season grass like that, you've got to
Because the root system has not been able to develop the hot, dry winds, and you have the blades of grass, and it just completely dries them out, and they don't have enough root system to take enough water in to keep the upper part alive.
Just
That's
can't
what
handle
happens.
it. Great.
That's
well,
what happens.
John's got another lesson for you over here in the backyard on how to have good annuals under trees. Let's go take a look at that, John.
Okay.
Well, John, with all these tree roots out here, I know you must have trouble getting flowers to grow in the flower beds. How do you handle that?
Yeah, it's always a problem. We're trying to have the best of two worlds all the time. So I don't know, I'm sure other people have done this too, but every spring I take this old square shovel and just literally go down here and cut off all the hair roots.
Okay.
I follow the contour of the bed. Then I get my handy dandy little rototiller here.
Yeah.
And I rototill this all up, make it all loose, and
okay, then you got
then this gives the impatiens something to grow in without so much competition from the roots from the azaleas and from the trees.
And in feeding these, you use a slow release fertilizer in the soil?
Yeah, I use a 6-3-aught organic.
Okay. All right.
And it's I just literally get down in here and scatter handfuls down in there.
Okay.
And then also foliar feed with the Miracle Grow.
Well, they're beautiful. Well, you're such a clever gardener. I know you've got some gadgets over here to show us, so let's go take a look at those.
Oh, yeah, I'm always trying to figure out a better way to do something, so.
Well, John, I just know that like most gardeners who are real successful, you've got some secrets on how you do things.
Oh, I've got several gadgets that kind of help the back a little bit. This is an old garden, an old lawnmower chassis, and so I've made a dolly out of it. It's real handy to carry your garbage bags around or anything, or if you have heavy rocks, you can put them up there and you only have to lift them about 6 inches.
Yeah, just push them around the yard.
Helps the back.
Okay, you got an old ironing board. What's this get up here?
Well, this is another back saver. Of course, it folds up and doesn't take any room out of storage, but I just put some old shelves on top of it, and this way everything's at this height to pot your flowers and your plants and to mix your pesticides or whatever.
Okay.
Rather than bending down.
Sure. All right. And then you've got separate containers for each pesticide.
I keep everything in its own place, and I have it properly tagged and a separate sprayer for everything I use, and that way there's no problem with mixing. And of course, again, we recommend that you don't ever store anything in these bottles.
Right, that's just for when you mix it up fresh.
Just mix it up and use it fresh.
Great idea. And last of all, it's such a beautiful yard, you have found a unique way to conceal your garden hose.
I use one of the green garden tubs that are available nowadays, and so I just cut a hole in the bottom, ran the hose through, out to the hose bib. Also cut some holes in the bottom of the tub so it doesn't fill up with water.
Right.
And then the hose just curls up in there, and you just grab it and go with it.
Right.
And then put it back in there. Because everything takes a lot of hand watering as well as a sprinkler system.
Sure, just to hit those spots that get missed or give deep watering. Well, these are some great ideas today. John, I'd like to thank you for letting us see your backyard and how you take care of it. Appreciate you being on.
It's our pleasure. It's always fun to share things with everybody.
Great.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. You can also find more recent videos on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.